On Saturday, September 7th at 3:30 p.m. in Clemson, South Carolina, a rematch takes place in what was a thriller in 2018 between the defending national champion Clemson Tigers and one of, if not the closest team to possibly beating them last season, the Texas A&M Aggies. I've got to break this one down. There's no way around it. Let's remove the layers on it, and I'll have you pick a winner in the end. Let's get it. Man, I just do not understand the hype over this game this season. I mean, sure, A&M is easily the best contest we'll have in 2019 on paper, but there are two factors that would make this game lose its appeal for anyone who knows college football. First off, the game is at home in Death Valley, where we never lose. It's not at College Station like it was last season, home of the 12th man. No doubt that was one of the biggest reasons why the Aggies were able to keep it close in 2018. The atmosphere was absolute mayhem. The crowd was loud and energetic, and they were into every single play. Honestly, props to them. They were that way even when it looked like the game was getting out of hand at times. And on top of that, Clemson was going through this weird phase of balancing out two different quarterbacks and had a lot of drama surrounded around that. Which leads me to my number 2 point. Trevor Lawrence wasn't then who he is now. Now he has some experience under his belt, a championship to display after all of that, and isn't feeling the heat of trying to have to impress the coaching staff into letting him get the starting gig. Now he is the guy. Now he is the man. Nope. To me, he's still the guy that went 5 for 9 for 93 yards, which I would say is pretty good, but when you factor in the fact that 64 of those yards came from just lobbing it in the air and the wide receiver going up to get it and bailing him out, I'm not as impressed. Now, I'll give you the fact that you're at home in this one. Admittedly, that worries me. But if you really want to bring up the quarterback position, I think we have our own little hot commodity in Kellen Mond. He's fresh off of 430 passing yards against you guys last season, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. 1 year later, he has a lot more experience, and on the other end, you're looking at a Clemson team who lost everybody on the defensive line. All of that talent just wiped away. So now, instead of Kellen having to run for his life in order to wait for receivers to get open, he can just sit back in the pocket as they do so. Really? Because I was leaning more towards watching him choke. I just can't see the guy playing out of his mind for 4 quarters like that 2 years in a row. Not against our defense. I also think a large part of his numbers came from chucking up huge prayers and having Jesus on his side. I don't expect to see any kind of magic like that out of him on the road. And yeah, I get it. Everybody wants to talk about who we lost on the defensive line, but this ain't your typical Tigers team. Nowadays, we rebuild and we reload, but I already went over that in the Georgia Tech video. Now, I know all of this sounds cliche, but it is exactly what it is. I don't think that Xavier Kelly, Tyler Davis, Niles Pinckney, or Jordan Williams are going to have any issues at all filling in. They're all very talented and very hungry, and Texas A&M seems like the caliber of team that would get that appetite going. So with that said, if I don't think that Mond's going to shine in 2019 the way he did in 2018, that means you're going to have to be effective running the ball against us. And something tells me that the 71 rushing yards and 2.2 yards per carry average that you had against us last season isn't going to cut it. Your starting running back in 2018 particularly went for 31 yards on 17 carries for just 1.8 yards per carry. Absolutely stymied. And sure, as we discussed, we lost some players in our front 7, but could we have lost that much talent to where those numbers could be that drastically changed in just 1 year's time? I doubt it. Oh, and I should also mention that the running back that I'm talking about had 1,760 yards and 18 touchdowns in 2018. He's now gone to the NFL. Now, if somebody as good as him can't get the job done against Clemson's defense, what makes you think a bunch of newbies are going to do it? Because the new guy got some time in last season and looked very good in doing so. Jashaun Corbin averaged 5.67 yards per carry behind that very hefty and strong offensive line at Texas A&M. Furthermore, all 4 of our very talented and awesome wide receivers, the ones that torched Clemson last season, return. Corbin should find plenty of creases as Mond finds those receivers and makes Clemson lose its aggressiveness that Brent Venables likes to bring and sit back and cover. Listen to some of the average yards per catch that Texas A&M had against Clemson in 2018. 17.1, 19.5, 20.3, 21, 23.3, and 24. Longs of 17, 21, 23, 26, 28, 30, and 69. My goodness, how many big plays did we have against you scrubs? I count 7, plus Mond's 23-yard scamper at one point. Face it, man, that defense is much more suspect than you'd like to lead on. We proved it last year, we're going to prove it again in 2019. I still remember a few things about that day rather vividly. I remember Kendrick Rogers absolutely owning everyone who tried to cover him. hauling in 7 receptions for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns. I remember your receiver completely pushing our defender down while the ball was in the air, and all of Aggie Nation being completely baffled by the fact that the refs were mesmerized by cheating. And of course I remember the pylon play, where the officials clearly can't tell that the ball went out of bounds prior to the pylon and not at it or after it. And before you get all pissy about that, have you ever seen this video that was taken from the stands? Just look at the ball. It is definitely going out before the pylon. And why don't I just humor myself and say that I am wrong about that particular call? The refs owed us a makeup call from that crap push-off. I've just never seen a team get that screwed over at their own home field the way we did. Jeez. Let me ask you something. Those little rags that you guys sit there spinning around like you're some kind of Gamecock fan or something, is that what it's actually intended to do, is just spin it like that? Or, well, yeah, what else would it be for? I don't know. I just had this silly idea that maybe it was used to wipe all those tears away from all the griping and complaining that you do about every single call. There are tens of things that Texas A&M could have done better in that game that could have helped them to be a very quality opponent at home. But guess what? They didn't do them. Not enough of them, at least. So don't go whining about some pylon call or a push-off that never was, or any of that kind of stuff. Like Al Davis said best, just win, baby. That's what we do, and it's never felt better. Might want to take some notes. But hey, I do have some good news for you this time around. Oh yeah? What's that? You don't have to worry about the what-ifs or what could-have-beens here in 2019. Trevor Lawrence is about to light up the scoreboard, and our defense is about to light up your quarterback. Clemson in a beatdown. 45-20. Go Tigers. Yeah, well, there's only one way to find out just how much of a BSer you actually are. And that will be the day that Jimbo evens the score 1-1 between Clemson and A&M in his time. If anyone can get to Dabo, it's him. See you September 7th, my friend. Gig 'em Aggies. Man, I love that. Can it just be the 7th already? I'm ready for this one now. So what are you guys thinking? Do you like Texas A&M to give Clemson a scare for the 2nd year in a row, a la Syracuse in 2017 and 2018, and possibly ride back home to College Station with a W? Or do you think the Aggies' real chance was last season at home, and this year Clemson won't be taken by surprise? Let me know, and don't forget to include a score. And before you go, if you're a Clemson fan or just a non-Texas A&M fan, Gig 'em was coined by PL Pinky Downs, class of 1906. When at a yell practice before the 1930 matchup against TCU, Downs asked, "What are we gonna do with those horned frogs?" And then answered himself and said, "Gig 'em Aggies." You know, 'cause you gig frogs. Just feeding your curiosity there. This is a fun channel, an entertaining channel, and now a learning channel. So there you go. Subscribe right here if you want college football material like this all season long. Like this video if you liked it. Head on over to my buddy Paul Jamison's channel if you didn't like it and you want better entertainment. Catch me outside, and by outside I mean in the comments below. I'll see you there. Peace.